Hi, Erin Bradley with Surge Fabric Shop. Today we're going to be beginning our Lea Swimsuit Sew-Along. For today what we're going to be doing is printing the pattern and making any alterations that you need to make. To begin with, I like to print page 3 of the pattern, which has this handy body image that shows all the different measurements that you're going to need in order to get a great fit on the pattern. So what I like to do is just write on this sheet what my measurements are, and then I will come back to it. I'll look at the list of measurements that's included in the pattern, and I'll write down which size I am in each of those lines. So for example, I am a size 2 in my bust, but then when I go to my hips, I'm a size 6. So I know right then that I'm going to need to make alterations when I'm sewing this pattern, because when you're sewing swim especially, you really want to make sure that you've accounted for all your curves, because swimsuits are designed to be tight, and so if I were to just go off of my size 2 bust, I would run into some issues with my hips. So you're going to want to make sure that you are properly grading for this pattern. The other measurement that you're going to want to make sure you look at is your finished length measurement. So for me, I'm 5'8", and I have a really long torso, and so when I looked at this pattern, the finished length measurement versus my 30-inch finished length measurement, there was a substantial gap, and so I actually lengthened this pattern 3 inches, and so I know that I'm going to need to make that change as well. So by looking at my measurements on this handy sheet, I was able to determine exactly what I need to do. So I know that I'm going to need to grade the pattern from a size 2 at the bust down to a size 6 at the hip, and I know I'm going to need to add 3 inches length. So now I'll switch over to the pattern and I'll show you how I made those alterations. Okay, so now we're going to start looking at the swimsuit pattern itself and what alterations needed to happen for myself. So I am a size B, 2B for the top, and then like I was saying, I am a size 6 in my hips. So when I printed this, I printed out the sizes 2 and as well as size 6. So when I cut out my cup and my my straps, I cut them based off of a size 2. And then when I printed my front panel and my back panel, I have them both start at a size 2 up top, and then I graded them down to a size 6 at the waist, or sorry, at the hips. I also added 3 inches length. So when you are adding length and also grading between sizes, what you're going to want to do is start by adding the length. So when I did this, I started by cutting the front panel and the back panel in half, and then I added 3 inches into each of those spots, and then I graded between the sizes. And to grade the sizes, what I did, I'll show you on the front panel first. I marked right at the this is right where your bust is going to be, and so I knew that that is a size 2. So I marked right here on my pattern that that is the size 2, and then I knew that at my hip I'm a size 6, and so I started at the 2 and I just kind of gradually increased my size from the 2 to the 6 until I reached the 6 mark. And for this, I switched at about the waist is where I went from being fully 2 to fully size 6. So when I got to about my midpoint at my waist, I'm at a size 6. And so that's how I did it on the front. On the back panel, I started by aligning my hips on the front and the back so that I could see where this front panel would hit on the back panel. And so I just kind of marked that spot right there, and I knew that that was where I was going to start my grading from, so that's where my size 2 is. And then I marked my size 6 hip mark again, and again I graded just very slightly until I got to the waist, and that was where I switched to being completely a size 6. So that's how I graded and added length to my pattern pieces. You might have to do it a little bit differently, just depending on your size, but there's an example for you. And so the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and cut out your fabric. And what you're going to do for that, you're going to have a lining fabric and a main fabric, and all the pieces are going to say on here if you're cutting it out of the lining or out of the main fabric. Most of the pieces are going to be out of both, with the exception of the bra cup pocket and the strap. The strap is out of just the main, and the bra cup is out of just the lining. So go ahead and cut your fabric, and then that's it for today.